Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Buckley, Editor-in-Chief of Lightwave and Broadband Technology Report, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's webcast, Beat the Broadband Competition in 2024 with a New Growth Strategy. Our webinar today is brought to you by Calix. Let me start by introducing you to today's speakers. We have Kwanda Hunter, who's the Senior Manager of Product Marketing for Calix, and joining her is Rob Siriano Jr., Vice President of Network for DFT Communications. Welcome, Kwanda and Rob. But before I hand off things to Kwanda and Rob for their discussion, let me quickly review our webcast setup for those of you who may be joining us for the first time or for the first time in a long time. I'll start with the Ask a Question box you should see near the end of the slide area. I invite you to feel free to use this to ask questions at any time during the event today. To submit a question, just click on that box, type in your question, and hit the send button. Kwanda and Rob will address your questions after they have finished their presentation. Now, in the event that you run into a technical problem during the presentation, you can call for help via the Q&A tool. Just describe your problem, hit the question submission button, and Matt, who is today's webcast technician, will be happy to help you out. Next, if you know of someone that might benefit from seeing this webcast or you just want to revisit the presentation yourself, this event will be available for our webcast archive for the next several months. We'll send you an email with a link to the archive sometime in the next day or so that you should feel free to forward to your coworkers. And the archive version of the webcast will also be accessible from the webcast archive section of our website, which you can reach via our homepage at www.broadbandtechreport.com. If you'd like, you'll be able to download a copy of today's slides via the Events Resources tab. You should see on your screen right below the Ask a Question box. Just click the tab to reveal the slide files. Also, we're going to do a couple polls during our event today, so we invite you to participate in that. We always like to get engage with the audience to see to get your opinion on things, especially with broadband. Finally, if you'd like a certificate of attendance, perhaps for continuing education purposes, we can let you know how to get your hands on one. And with that, let's begin our look at how to deal with broadband competition in 2024. I'm going to kick off to Kwanda. Kwanda, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning. It is such a pleasure to be here. I appreciate the introduction. Hope all of you are keeping warm. I'm here in Ann Arbor, Michigan, where it has been quite cold and snowy. But let's get us started. So, as the title says, you all know, I'm probably preaching to the choir. We are in a period of steady and increasing competition. Broadband funding is in excess. The last time I checked, it was still millions of dollars of funding being pumped into the industry to really expand network access to rural America, people all over, right? So what is your strategy to grow your business, right? How do you outpace competitors and deliver the experience that your subscribers truly crave and they demand, right? And I'm always excited as we kick off this webinar, really to collaborate with broadband partners just like you. That's why I'm so excited that Rob is joining me today. So as I go to the next slide, here's what we have in store, right? We're going to quickly talk about some of the latest trends in competition impacting the broadband industry. We're going to look at new strategies that providers like you are using to drive growth, including how they're going after and finding ways to identify and engage with new subscribers. We'll touch on to some steps to strive for continuous improvement. But truly, the highlight of today is really what Rob is going to share with you about what him and his team is doing at DFT Communications. And so a lot in store. So let's get started. So I typically like to start with a stat, right? 90% of general managers at North American broadband companies, they tell us that the surge of broadband competition has been extremely impactful or just impactful, right? And a lot of you see it. And if you've been following us, we've been talking about the competition heating up, and not just with not with similar service providers, but with some of those big brands as well. And this ability, what it's impacting is impacting for the broadband service provider, that ability to grow, right? And, as we gathered data from them, what we understood was that 34% of them say, hey, we want to increase our market share. 28% say, I'm looking where we need to expand into new regions. And I think Rob will talk about how they're going after new spaces and new areas. Another 25% say, well, we really want to diversify our subscriber base, or the last 12% is upselling their existing subscribers. So really all of these ways for them to grow revenue, and what's impacting that is that surge of competition, right? So, and if I look at the increased market share and expand into region, that's 7 out of 10 of them are really focused on those internal regional revenue growth strategies. And so how do you do that? How do you really compete effectively in this new landscape? And last year, toward the middle of the year, we set out and we commissioned a study called The State of the Service Broadband Provider. And it was a study of mostly C-level executives at North American broadband companies. And one of the questions we asked them, as you can see on the slide, like, how concerned are you that the following competitors will impact your company's ability to grow, right? And based on looking at it, extremely concerned inputs, they rank, similar size wireline service providers and 5G mobile providers, both ranked in at 51%. And then for tier 1 fixed service providers and satellite providers, that sits at 35%. These are views as the competitors that have the most potential to really negatively impact their ability to grow. Now, as you see, with the wireless ISPs and web scale providers, while they place 5th and 6th based on those like extremely concerned inputs I talked about, we believe that their score metrics, when you include the orange where that is for concerned, it reveals that these should not be discounted, right, as viable threats, because they very much are. And as I mentioned, if you've been following Calix, or if you attended any of our past webinars or our annual Connections event, you've heard us talk about the big brands and what they're doing to really relegate a lot of service providers as just the providers of dumb pipe, right? So we want to move away from that. So looking at this stat, right, here's how many, and I'm sure many of you can relate to this, how do you go after and respond to competition? 79% of us say that they're introducing new services, differentiated new services. And this is a core strategy of growth, obviously, and we've emphasized this a lot at Calix here the last 3 years, talking extensively about this and many of our events, et cetera. And we surveyed the same group about this study, right? And they said, looking ahead for the next 5 years, high priority new services that they roll out will revolve around a broad range of diverse use cases that encompass like parental controls to well-being solutions. However, what is key is that security. They say that the leading to a security-related services, so home network cybersecurity or device protection. And they firmly believe that these two are going to be key to helping to improve that service stickiness that we talk about, really to help you fight churn, to keep your subscribers, et cetera. And then you follow what other follows is parental controls, connected camera solutions, small business solutions, and more. Just different services that could allow them to just be more sticky. And so I always like to start a webinar with a quick poll. The question for you, right, as if you all are dealing with competition, how are you primarily responding to that, right? Are you lowering your costs? Are you promoting business value? Are you introducing new services? Are you creating partnerships? And you might not really be sure, right? Depending on your level and position, how the company is going about doing that. So let's look, if you can kind of just take a few seconds to kind of tell us what you think. Rob, looking at this poll, what would you say for DFT? I know you'll talk a little bit about it, but if you had to rank them, or what would be the top way you guys think about responding to this?
Well, interesting enough, a couple of things that we've done in the past few years is we've created some new partnerships with some of our communities.
Okay.
And we are actually introducing some newer services to not be a quote unquote dumb pipe. Was the takeaway from Connections multiple years now. So we use the same premise here at DFT.
Got it. All right. I think we've given it enough time. I'm going to kind of share the audience, and this is interesting. You can see that 52%, almost 53% say they're promoting business value, which is key, right? It's really making sure you're talking to subscribers about the service and the value that you can deliver to their home, right? Always connected, or always on, reliability, all of those things, or proactive support. Introducing new differentiated services ranked in as 2, which is good to see, right? That's been a key strategy for growth, for raising average revenue per user, aka ARPU, partnerships, and 6% are not sure, which, we anticipate some of that as well. Thank you for that. So let me move on to the next slide. So outside of, we talked about already differentiating new services. A lot of you all, based on the poll results, are already there doing that, using that as a way to get more from your subscribers. But it's not about getting more, it's really delivering an elevated experience to them, etc. As we look at and have been working with broadband providers towards the end of last year and kicking off into this year, here are some of the 3 ways that the ones we partner with and surveyed and talked to say they're going out and looking to grow in 2024. The first, which being transforming how they go to market, like their offering strategy, making sure they're communicating their business value, which ranked number 1 on this survey, but in a way that they're offering to their subscribers solutions that they really understand and that they could really value from and appreciate. 2 is driving new levels of engagement, striving for continuous improvement is the third one, right? If I go back to the last stat on the last slide, right, it was 79% said differentiating new services. That is, they're on the road to growth. And as we think about this year and beyond, how can you keep steady and ensure you're on the best path, right? I'm sure many of you here today are delivering a number of new things and new initiatives and new partnerships to your communities and trying to work more with your subscribers to deliver on that great experience. You're keeping them connected, right? You're supporting the ever-growing number of connected devices, enable them to work from home, game from home, so much more. And so we look at these, transforming your offering strategies, right? If you have offerings that align to their specific needs, combined with your brand, your personalized communication, you can really truly boost acquisition, boost take rates, increase ARPU, etc. For driving new levels of engagement, this is rather than just pushing products or executing one-way promotional tactics, how can you deepen that relationship with your subscribers and build loyalty and reduce churn? When we get to part 2, Rob will come in and talk specifically about what DFT Communications is doing in this area. And then third, striving for continuous improvement, right? And this part is all about tracking. Are you tracking your quantitative and qualitative data so you can have insights into subscriber behavior, preferences, pain points, etc.? So I'm going to take a few minutes, talk about transforming your offering strategies and what we mean there, and then I'll hand it off over to Rob. All right. So, we're all consumers here. We know how life is fundamentally different from many years ago. We all understand how big brands like Amazon and Zappos, right? They've changed our expectations on, for example, how quickly products we offer online should get to our door, or how entertainment services like Netflix and Peloton have really transformed how we consume content and even exercise, right? And so as this bar continues to rise, again, set by, big commercial brands, it's also transcending into the broadband industry. Your subscribers today, they have very high expectations of their service provider, right? They want you to anticipate their needs. They want always on reliable service, proactive support. They really don't want to call you. And when they do hear from you, they really want to receive messages that resonate. And when we ask executives, so how do you go to market, right? What messages do you lead with? 90% ranked faster speed as the top message they promote. And I get it, right? You put so much into your network and the speed and making sure they have the service is meeting the bandwidth of the home, etc. And it's a great investment, right? But in terms of going to market, it is what you see a lot of providers are doing. And every market starts with speed, but in the end, it leads to something that we all know, right? Like price wars. And then you start to see ads like what you see here on the right, right? Start when they include wording like unlimited usage, free everything, 5 to 10 year guarantees. And it ends up in this kind of, this is where speed ultimately ends up. And so if I look at the next slide, this is what we see when we visit a lot of so many broadband providers, the web pages, right? This approach looks very familiar. Do your offerings focus on this speed and price, or do they really speak to the needs of subscribers? Unfortunately, what we're saying to your subscribers when they see is, hey, pay us each month and, we'll give you a gig or 500 meg or 200 meg. And as we know, most subscribers really don't know the difference. And it's been well established that competing on speed and price is really a zero-sum game. If we think about like the offers that we saw in the last slide, they're particularly challenged when you consider that consumer research shows us that 90% of people don't even know what these figures truly mean. So how many of your potential subscribers wake up in the morning thinking, hey, I need to figure out how to get 500 meg or a gig? And so one of the approaches that we're partnering with more broadband providers to do is, wait, how do you move beyond that? Move beyond the widely entrenched speed first mindset and really transform your value proposition, right? How do you understand your subscribers on big level? Again, they're not waking up trying to figure out how to get 500 meg, right? But they want to be better gamers, better parents. They want to make sure they can, when they sign on to work from home, they can do that. They want to be better at their jobs, and you are in a position to actually help. And so how do you bring this to life, right? As I mentioned, we're partnering with several of broadband providers on this very initiative right now. They're developing go-to-market strategies that emphasize their unique value that they bring to their subscribers and communities. And the strategy is kind of based on 3 key pillars. You think about brand promise, differentiated offerings, and subscriber engagement. And all of these are critical, but a differentiated offering strategy is the linchpin to really elevating that subscriber experience, right? And with this type of approach, you really move beyond the image, utilitarian image of traditional providers. And you're seen as an innovative brand, right? That really understands what your subscribers care about. And a lot of wide range benefits, higher take rates, stickier services, lower churn, higher ARPU, increased satisfaction, higher NPS. I can go on. An example of this that we like to highlight is Highline, right? So many leaders in our industry are doing just that. We're partnering with many now. And Highline kind of was one of the first broadband providers we started to work with that really took a step to say, hey, let's think about our go-to-market approach and how we go to market. Their CMO worked her team to launch really customized persona-themed bundles, right? They started with insights about their subscribers and really understood the use cases. And what they rolled out was 3 power-packed bundles, right? They had a streaming internet, a gaming bundle, a work and warrior bundle. And within 5 months, they were able to achieve a take rate 3 times higher than their original target. And they saw a 15% increase in ARPU, right? And so that's real results. And so I'll talk on this last slide before I turn it over to Rob. To introduce this second area, the second approach to driving growth in 2024 is really subscriber engagement. Now, subscriber engagement transcends the realm of just mere marketing tactics, right? It's about a commitment to building lasting connections and meaningful interactions. And really, to truly understand the significance of it, it's, you have to dispel the misconceptions around it. It's not about forcefully pushing products, always talking about the speed you offer, right? It's not executing a series of marketing tactics or focusing on those very transactional interactions. It really involves that deep understanding I mentioned of your subscribers' needs and desires, developing the personalized offerings, fostering that relationship to create loyalty. And this is especially where we see a lot of small broadband providers shine, right? Because you're passionate and have strong ties to your community. And to you, your subscribers are not just an account number. Oftentimes, they're your friends, they're neighbors, they're people you see when you go to the grocery store. So at this time, Rob, I want to kind of hand it over to you so you can talk about how DFT is looking at engaging and going to market with some of these.
Great. Thanks, Quandra. So a little bit of the history of DFT Communications. This might relate to many of you that are watching today. DFT Communications started over 125 years ago in a grocery store here in Fredonia, New York. It was the first telephone in the local community. The Madam family, which owns the company today, they used it to contact the railroad on shipment statuses so they know when to stock the grocery store. As I said, it's still owned by the current Madam family. Generations have come, and at one point the company was sold to another larger investment group, but about 8 years ago the Madam family bought the company back. They were still a shareholder of the company, but now they control the company as back fourth generation owners, which is amazing. One of the big things about DFT Communications is we're proud to be a part of a local community. We donate to local sports, schools, organizations throughout the Chautauqua County, Western New York region. We're a local provider, and we pride ourselves on that. Compared to the giants that are out there, we can elevate our subscriber experience by being that local provider. We have a lot of competition out here. We have Windstream, we have Verizon, and we have Spectrum. So connecting communities is our focus, and we are trusted by our community, which means a lot when it comes to our partnership in this industry. Real quick to talk about our service area. We are in Western New York. We are from pretty much the Pennsylvania state line up to the edge of Buffalo, New York, and down to the southern portion of New York at the Pennsylvania state line. We have 2 incumbent exchange carriers and 1 competitive local exchange carrier, so we're able to expand our service footprint pretty far, and we can fight against the bigger companies that are out there, such as the Windstreams and Verizons. Our service portfolio includes fiber to the premises, high-speed internet, managed wireless experiences using GigaSpires and other products, hosted voice over IP, streaming video, and wireless internet access using a fixed wireless solution. We've been providing fiber to the premise since we'll say, early 2000s. At the time, it was more on businesses, but now in 2010, we've shifted our focus to residential and small business. In 2016, that's what our drive became, moving away from traditional XDSL platforms and going to fiber to the premise. We have about 500 miles of fiber optic cable, and we have about 8,000 broadband subscribers. And that encompasses our fixed wireless and whatnot, but our majority of our customers have become fiber. And as I said, fiber is the focus for DFT, and we are starting to convert a lot of our customers from traditional services over to fiber. Let's see here. Key areas of focus for DFT is our network. I mean, without the network, we couldn't do what we do today. We've invested and we've built a superior autonomous network. We aim for 4 nines of uptime, and we do extremely well by having that autonomous network. We keep an eye out on trends in the industry, especially our subscribers. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Our subscribers drive a lot of our usage, so we have to be prepared for that, and we have to be able to engage with our subscribers in order to provide them the best experience possible. Streaming, gaming, work from home. We all saw work from home become the new norm when COVID started. It still somewhat is today. And with Engagement Cloud, we can see what type of customers we have, and that way we can make plans and prepare for the next evolution of our network. As I said before, we expand our network to reach underserved areas. The giants such as Verizon and Windstream, even Spectrum, they don't want to go to some of the areas that are underserved or not served, period. That's something that DFT has really prided ourselves on by getting the funding, the grant dollars, or the own capital of the company to go for those customers. We even take steps into those giant areas to go after their customers as well, and I'll talk about that. As far as the customer experience, we used to go by the mindset of speed and price. We've gone away from that setting and gone to a customer experience. What can we do to give the customer the best possible experience when they're using any of DFT's services. We've used the Calix product line for quite some time. Engagement and Service Cloud have been in our portfolio for about 5 years now, maybe a little less with Engagement Cloud. But that helps us be proactive and determine what we can do for our customers to eliminate truck rolls, eliminate that first call. And one of the great things is we can get a first call resolution with Service Cloud and reducing those truck rolls. As I said before, we're understanding the demands of our customers. And with Engagement Cloud, we can reach out to those customers that are using their service, but we see possibly they're not using it to its full potential, or there's an opportunity to give them something better to elevate that experience. One of the big things about Engagement Cloud, and we've used it in the last few months, actually a little longer, is we're reducing churn and to beat the competition. This is where Engagement Cloud has worked really well for DFT. By using the Engagement Cloud product, we're able to reduce churn by looking at performance hits. We have customers that are hitting their 100 meg tier. Well, if they're hitting their 100 meg tier, they're probably having a bad experience. We can also look at where customers are investigating opportunities with the competition, such as Spectrum. Spectrum's very tough in our local area, and Spectrum's very good at going for speed and price. But if we can give them a better experience in Spectrum, chances are they're not going to leave. Engagement Cloud in our current competition areas and our newer builds, we can look at the customer prospects that are out there and we can determine how to market to them, whether it be email, mailers, social media, which we use heavily on social media. We can tell what kind of customers are out in that area to make sure we're marketing to them appropriately. You know, we have customers that are farmers, we have customers that are gamers. We don't want farmers getting postcards or mailers for gaming, and we don't want the gamers to get postcards about running a business, because it doesn't make any sense. Again, as I said, we use a lot of that data. One of the neat things about Engagement Cloud is the social heat map. Everybody uses Facebook and YouTube. This helps us determine when we can launch those ads and when is the best time to do that, especially on YouTube. We talked about the classification of our subscribers being streamers, gamers, work from home, and we can deep dive into the data. We can see what our data usage or what our subscriber data usage is, how many devices per household, and the acquisition and potential revenue we can get from these subscribers. And as I said earlier, the churn risk, the prospects. By using the Zip+4 feature, we can determine the type of customers within a build area. We can look at income ranges. We can look at household size and tech segments. We can use that same data to determine where we're going to build next. Now, DFT, we are building based on where the funding is being provided to us, but at the same time, we're looking at new areas to expand our network into the competition. We can create campaigns based on those prospects, and we can develop promotions based on those prospects. Interesting tidbit for Western New York, we're in the snow belt here. We got hit pretty hard this weekend. As a Buffalo Bills fan, I know. We saw our highest amount of data usage ever at DFT Communications this past Saturday. Why did that happen for us? Well, between the snowfall and the travel bans, NFL football was streaming only on Peacock TV. So what we saw was an uptick in streaming usage that we have never seen before. So that tells you what our trends are going to be in the future. The go-to-market approach, I know a lot of our marketing is around the electronic content builder. For those of you that are using Engagement Cloud, we rely heavily on the electronic content builder. We use it frequently. It allows customization, reduced time to market. You know, one of the big things we used was the Big Sky Family campaign. We used a lot of social media marketing towards that, and that was some data that was provided from Engagement Cloud to tell us what kind of customers we're marketing to within a given area. And one of the big things that we're doing with all of our installations, and we're trying to promote it as much as possible, is Command IQ. Mm-hmm. Command IQ puts the control with the customer, and it gives us new opportunities to provide options to their customers, such as Experience IQ and Protect IQ, again, elevating that service for the customer. Now, in 2018, DFT participated in the New York State Broadband grant, providing funding to build fiber in under and over or not served areas, which we were able to add a lot of customers to our product line. The company invested a significant amount of capital with matching funds from the state. And with the success of that and support, or Service Cloud and Engagement Cloud, we were able to look at what we're doing next. As a result of that, the owners of the company contributed $1.2 million for our next build. And we have seen a tremendous increase of ARPU because of the Command IQ, the Experience and Protect IQ options. And when we're signing up for new customers, the take rate for managed Wi-Fi, which I call it our flagship with our fiber to the premise product, again, speed and price. But with managed Wi-Fi, we're providing an experience. We see a 90% take rate on that, and it has driven our revenue streams up tremendously. So it's been very successful, all encompass with the different solutions that Engagement Cloud, Service Cloud can provide for DFT. And we're really excited about this next level, especially with fiber being the focus in the years to come.
All right, thank you. So let me go to the next slide. You talk a lot about Engagement Cloud. It's really great to see how you're leveraging those insights. And so I won't go much deeper here, just to define, because I saw some questions in the chat. I'm like, what exactly is it? So real quick, what Rob explained was how they use the data and insights to help them with some of the ways they engage with their subscribers. What it really is, it's an end-to-end engagement hub, and it's part of the Calix cloud solution. And it equips service providers with powerful analytics and insights that can give them the information they need to engage with their subscribers and prospects, and deliver that ultimate experience. One of the questions is like, how do you acknowledge like some of the service hits on it without seeming like a spy to your customer? What it is it's finding creative ways. It's like, hey, we've noticed from some of our data analytics that this network, your network is hitting up on your limitations, right? And so, and saying, hey, you might benefit from having this level or this tier or this service. It's that opportunity to proactively go after a customer and say, hey, I think we can help to really elevate the experience you're having so that you're not buffering, so that you can stream or work from home and be on Zoom while somebody else is gaming, right? It's using it to have more meaningful conversations where a subscriber can look at you and say, wow, my BSP is anticipating my needs and knows what they can provide to me that can really help with what I've been experiencing. So that's Engagement Cloud. After the webinar, we will have a link to the demo. You can see it. We won't go to product pitch here for this webinar, but you can see a demo if you're interested. But I do want to share this one stat on this slide. 73% of the C-level executives that we survey categorize utilizing subscriber data as a strategic imperative to really help them drive new service and revenue opportunities. And I think what you just heard from Rob is a true example of a service provider like you that is doing such, right? Using the information to help find some new opportunities, first to really up that subscriber experience, but then it drives additional revenue opportunities, or it keeps that subscriber with you longer, right? So reducing churn because they feel like you are supporting what they really need. So with that, let me just throw up another poll question. I'm curious, based on what you've heard, like how confident are you that you have access to sufficient insights about your own subscribers to really help you drive growth? Just select one response. You are very confident, somewhat confident, not sure. So as you all fill that in, I'll use that time to kind of throw a question at Rob. Rob, when you guys, prior to not having the insights, what are some of the ways did you try to engage, or was it a thing that was hard to do? Like, were you challenged by that, not having the information?
It's interesting you bring that up. It was challenging. We had nothing to begin with. The only thing we would use is customers calling in to complain about their service, or say there's a problem. John customer, his service is running slow. Well, we can only say, okay, well, you're using all your bandwidth. Well, what is taking up all your bandwidth? Streaming, your kids gaming. we didn't have those analytics. We didn't have that insights until now. So it has changed the way we help the customer tremendously.
Yeah, that's great. And I love seeing these poll results as they come in. It's so intriguing to me. And looking at, and let me send these results to the audience. What we're seeing here is that 10% of you say you are very confident that you have access to sufficient insights, followed by 54% that are somewhat confident, which is really good, by the way. So that's 64% of the audience are very confident or confident. And then 31% not confident, almost 4% not sure, and good. And this is why we have these opportunities, these webinars, right? So you can understand some of the resources available that can help you have some of those insights. Again, we'll share a demo of Engagement Cloud for you to see after this webinar. All right, cool. Thank you for responding. So just to wrap up this section on, subscriber engagement, what is the impact of those engagement metrics, right? And you kind of see the list here, so I'll talk to each one a little bit. So higher subscriber happiness and satisfaction, right? If you bolster your engagement, it leads to heightened happiness and satisfaction among subscribers, point blank, right? Positive experience contribute to increased loyalty, satisfaction, and even allow your businesses to command even a premium price if you want to. If you look at long-term subscriber loyalty, engaged subscribers are more likely to develop loyalty, leading to enduring customer relationships. And this translates into repeated purchases and advocacy, contributing significantly to the ability for your brand to grow. If you are lowering subscriber churn, effective engagement plays a crucial role here, right? It helps you to reduce those subscriber churn rates. Engaged subscribers are less likely to abandon your brand as they derive more value and satisfaction from the interactions they have. We're talking about the interactions they have from you, right? How many times have you dealt with a company and you may have you love the product, but the experience you might have with customer service is enough for you to say, it's not even worth it, right? And so those interactions are very meaningful. You can increase ARPU and COV, increase engagement positively impacts both of those. Those engaged customers are more receptive to upsells and cross-sells, and that can contribute to higher revenue. Then you get, once you do all of this, you fall into greater profitability. It's pivotal in boosting the company's bottom line, right? It's retaining subscribers is a cost-effective approach that really leads to substantial financial gains. You get new subscriber referral rates, right? They're likely to become more brand advocates. How many times do you really have a great experience with a company or brand and you tell your friends about it? And so word of mouth is a critical way to help you bring in new customers. And then expanded business opportunities. Satisfied subscribers may boost the same provider of services, unlock additional revenue. Rob, would you agree with some of these so far?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, let's get into the last section. I think we have some time here before we open it up for Q&A. And so the last section on, approach for driving growth in 2024 is really striving for continuous improvement. And so what we mean by here, a critical step in improving that exceptional subscriber experience is continuously monitoring satisfaction and engagement, right? So by analyzing quantitative and those qualitative measures, you can really gain valuable insights into subscriber behavior, preferences, pain points, etc. And having this data-driven approach allows you to refine your processes, enhance subscriber experience, and really improve on the satisfaction. And so let me just throw out the stats for you, right? Customers are 4 times more likely to leave a service interaction more disloyal than when they enter. This is a stat by Gartner. And the other stat, 96% of customers say customer service is important in their choice of loyalty to a brand. So tracking engagement and satisfaction is vital for broadband providers to really foster that long-term relationship that we talk about, right? By monitoring key metrics, you can continuously refine your strategies and optimize engagement efforts. And through that personalized and responsive engagement, again, what we talked about in approach 1 and approach 2 earlier, you can enhance that experience. And so many people ask, well, what are those measures of engagement? Some of them, surveys, NPS, but let me just go to the next slide and break down the 5 that we see are really key measurements of engagement for broadband providers, right? So if you look at Net Promoter Score, NPS, customer satisfaction ratings, this provides you with, valuable insights into customer satisfaction and loyalty. It gauges the likelihood that customers recommending your company to others. And while your CSAT measures customer satisfaction with specific products or services that you offer. If you have a high NPS or CSAT scores, that really indicates that you are you have a strong engagement and a positive customer experience that you're delivering. And then you can look at number 2, your churn rates, right? And this represents the percentage of your subscribers who stop using a service or may cancel their entire subscription or service with you as being their provider over a specific period. So high churn rates really can signal issues with how you're engaging or customer satisfaction or just the value that you're delivering. And it could just be simply, that competitor coming in with that low price. So you want to make sure you are looking at that continuously. As we look at customer lifetime value, this really estimates the total revenue a company can expect to generate from a single customer over the entirety of that relationship. And so if you understand that CLV, you can identify the most valuable customers and tailor your engagement strategies to make sure you retain them and nurture them. If we look at referral rates, this reflects the number of new customers acquired through customer referrals. High referral rates really indicate that your current subscribers are engaged and you have some really strong advocates on your side. As satisfied subscribers, as I shared, are more likely to recommend your company to others. And then finally, you want to make sure you're looking at your customer reviews, social media comments, etc., because this provides real-time feedback on customer sentiment, right? Positive reviews and comments indicate high engagement and satisfaction, while negative ones highlight areas where you can improve. So hopefully this is a helpful chart for you to understand of some of those key measures of engagement that you want to make sure you are looking at. And so before I open up to Q&A, I'll kind of go through one last slide as we talk about how do you harness data to drive meaningful improvements, right? Tracking the measures we talked about on the last slide is really just the first step. You want to make sure you have a program in place to track all of those things we talked about. But here are 5 ways you can use data to really drive meaningful improvements and create that virtual cycle of increased engagement, customer satisfaction, and long-term brand loyalty. So if you look at first mapping your NPS data to subscriber experience data, and by examining this, you can better understand how satisfaction and loyalty may vary across very specific subscriber segments, right? So it's helpful to look at a service tier, a tenure of service, subscriber personas, and whether they're using your managed services. But it's also important to include demographic data to identify trends around age, income, and characteristics. Like with this knowledge, you can really develop targeted strategies to address issues and enhance subscriber experience. Again, like I said, pay attention to the qualitative comments in your satisfaction survey, similar to when we talked about social media reviews on the next one. It's essential, right? Because those comments and satisfaction surveys can give you the insights into the subscriber experience and pain points. So when you unpack them, you can identify very specific areas that you can improve. And it could lead you to introducing new service bundles or establishing a specific loyalty program. So you can really get a lot of great insights just by listening in and engaging. And when I say engaging, responding, the third point, responding to feedback on social media, right? Engaging with customers who leave reviews or comments on social platform, it really demonstrates a commitment to their satisfaction when you do respond. And that means the positive and the negative, right? It really can help you showcase your company values, the subscriber opinions that they're giving you. And when it comes to the negative comment, a lot of companies like to stay away from those, but it's estimated that 60% of people will share their negative experience with others about a negative experience they're having with the company, right? And so you want to make sure you really stay on top of those. And then for the final two, right, developing a customer loyalty program, really self-explanatory, but this acknowledges and rewards your long-standing subscribers. So programs such as like incentivize, continued engagement, encourage customers to really stay loyal to your brand. And then I think I saw a stat, like 30% of Loyalty Club participants are more likely to choose a brand over a competitor, and 50% are more likely to recommend that brand to others. And so some good results you can see from there. And then finally, if you can create a formal customer referral program, right? So a structured program that motivates your subscribers to refer their friends and family, that can really help them drive acquisition, right? So rewarding both the subscriber that's referring, your referrer, and the new subscriber really fosters a sense of community that could enhance that engagement. So referral programs, and they offer significant benefits. Customers who refer others have a 30% higher retention rate, right? And refer customers are 4 times more likely to refer their friends as well. So just some really great tips here. We will share these slides, and I will also share with you the state of the broadband service provider report, the research report that we did. So you will have that for your use. So start to throw your questions there. I'm done with the formal presentation part. I will do one more survey. If anything you've heard here, if you're interested in a free consult to talk about how you can use insights to drive growth, or how you can rethink your offering strategy and bundle in some of those services, and to have that go-to-market approach that moves well away from speed and more into value-based services, let us know. I won't share the results of this slide, but let us know if you're interested in a conversation with, someone at Calix to help you take some of those steps. So with that, we will open it up for Q&A.
Great. Well, thanks, guys, for some great questions and some great perspective here. Let's start out with a question. One question here, I think this is for you, Rob. What do you mean by creating new partnerships? Can you give some examples? I mean, certainly DFT has some great momentum, and I think you guys think, as a local kind of company, I think you can kind of be able to be a little more creative. But yeah, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, creating partnerships can be anything as far as creating partnerships with your local community to show your involvement. And when I say creating partnerships as well, we've worked with other communities that are underserved. The giants, they're not going to build there, but we have worked with these other communities to help them go after the funding, to help become the operator for those areas, to provide service. I hate to say it like this, as simple as it may sound, they build it, we run it. And, it works out really good. You build that trust between that community. Again, the big guys, they're not local here. They may have a presence here, but you don't see them out. You don't see, DFT is involved in everything. So again, creating partnerships with your local village governments, fire departments, the school, that's the kind of partnerships I kind of talk about. And then when we talk about an operational partnership, it's with the neighboring municipalities to help get them access to fiber and bandwidth. And that's kind of the approach we've taken.
And I'll add on that.
Yeah.
I wanted to add, you have some broadband providers that might partner with utility companies in their, in their neighborhood. That can be an example of a partnership. You can partner with companies to provide new service incentives, right? So like with Microsoft, to offer Microsoft 365. Calix, we have partnered with a lot of companies such as Bark and Arlo, for example. And so through our partnerships that we have with these companies, our broadband customers that we work with are now able to offer connected camera solutions or parental control solutions, right? And so basically it's really giving them the opportunity to go to their subscriber and say, hey, I have more than just, Wi-Fi that I can offer you. I can offer you a connected camera solution that's connected. I can offer you parental control so you can better monitor or prevent cyberbullying, right? So you can think of partnerships in a different of ways, community, utilitarian with services. So there's different ways that you can think about that.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing when we talk to folks like DFT and or an electric co-op or these companies that have been in their community for like you said at the beginning, a company founded in a grocery store, but I'm sure you see your customers in a grocery store, so that community involvement I think is really important that we've been seeing. Here's another question. I think Kwanda was talking a little bit about this, but maybe we'll have both of you expand upon it. What types of services can you provide in a bundle? You talked about Highline. They had their, focused on different sets of groups of customers, the streaming addicts, the gaming folks, and, and the people, the working warriors. I love that. That sounds great. It sounds like they have an idea of how to target people with the right packages, that meet their needs. But let's talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, and some of those packaging, it could be that offer managed Wi-Fi, right? It could be the parental controls that I talked about. It could be connected camera solution, right? If it could be a type of streaming service, right? What the thought is that instead of going to market with, hey, I have these 3 plans, 500, 1 gig, right? Instead of having that, really repackaging them in a way to say, hey, by the way, I noticed that, and again, using insights from solutions like Engagement Cloud, if you're going after a group of prospects or you want to talk to your subscribers and you understand that they might have children, you're offering to them new solutions that say, hey, I have this Guardian service package, right? And it includes you still can mention the speed, right? It's 500 gig of this, but it includes parental controls. It includes that, right? It's really transforming how you think about how you present your offerings in a way and matching those services with the audience that you're talking to for that particular package. So that's the thought when we say, some of the services that you can offer. And then as and I'm trying to pull up the data I have on some of those ranked services that the C-levels ranked as top ones. It was network security. It was cybersecurity control. It was camera solutions. It was work from home solutions, right? It's a whole list of them that when you look at the Broadband report that we'll share with the audience, you can kind of see we have a chart that's in there on what some of those services could be that you can consider and wrap up in some of your packages.
Great. Rob, we're going to switch back to you. You talked about, again, DFT is a basically an ILEC that probably have copper in their network, since the turn of the century. But let's talk about a little bit about, was there a marketing tactic that you used that worked really well when you started converting copper-based lower speed DSL customers over to fiber? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, what we kind of did in a couple of different prong approach. The first is when we were building in those areas, we were amping up the excitement that we had yard signs saying fiber's coming. We had door hangers on the homes saying fiber's coming, call now, pre-sign up. And then after the fiber was built, we actually were really focused on a door-to-door campaign. We actually had our salespeople going out, knocking on doors. And for anyone that does that, don't do it in the middle of the day. Everybody's at work. You have to go after hours and try to avoid dinner time. But being a small community, they can knock on the doors, and marketing to those individuals, we found out a lot of things. Problem number one is against some of the bigger customer providers out there, such as Spectrum. Spectrum has television, mobile, this, and this. Well, we have 3 of the 5. Well, so we started our own streaming solution. We actually have a DFT-V streaming solution. And we also have DFT Mobile. So we can provide all the services that Spectrum provides, and they can still have one bill. Is that a little more than most people are going to do? Yes. But the managed Wi-Fi, I think, was the golden ticket there, because there's our customers, they're a little, I don't want to say they're old, but they don't want to mess with it. It work, and they don't want to have any problems. And by us taking that problem away from them, it was a good solution. So we found very good good results with a door-to-door campaign.
Right, and with managed Wi-Fi too. I mean, you can be proactive and even know what a problem's going on even before a customer knows. I know that's another big selling point. But again, set it and forget it kind of thing, like the chicken thing we used to talk about back in the day. There's another question for you, Rob. You mentioned ARPU growth you experienced. Can you expand upon how you identified who to target with ARPU? Yeah.
Yeah. So originally, before we started offering Experience IQ, Protect IQ, once we started getting Engagement Cloud running, we were able to look at the customers that were those customers that we already had, those newer areas that are coming, to sell those extra products and drive ARPU up, using Experience and Protect IQ and kind of lumping that into the managed Wi-Fi, we'll say, bundle. And then we also looked at customers that did not have managed Wi-Fi and the benefits of it. I think getting that managed Wi-Fi, the GigaSpire solution in the door, that's what made the opportunity to create the extra ARPU opportunities. Plus, with our video product, our mobile product, we do have a security division, but that's a whole different side of the house. We can be that all-in-one encompassed provider that can get everything. So that's where it was very positive, and the growth that we saw since the broadband grant to where we are today.
Great. Here's another one here. How are you using or planning to use data to go after homes passed? I mean, certainly it sounds to me like DFT is a company on the move. I mean, you talked about new funding sources, and I'm assuming that, expansion is a continuing sort of process for your company, I guess. Talk a little bit about that.
We can hang the fiber all day, but if they're on Spectrum, if they're on Verizon, they're not just going to come over to us. So we use the information from Engagement Cloud to really focus on a street per se. And okay, this is the demographic of the street. So we got to make sure we're marketing to the right audience using the electronic content builder, our door-to-door campaign. Make sure you're knocking on the door. You're not talking about playing Xbox or PlayStation to someone that doesn't have one, or doesn't have any kids. So we use that information to be more focused on the areas that we're trying to engage customers on and acquire customers on. And it actually has changed the way we're doing things. It feels like we're more prepared going out into the field to go after these opportunities. Before it was, you roll the dice and see what you got. Now we know what to talk about. We can have a mindset of the area that we're targeting.
Right. And again, I think, when I think of your company, I think of the local sort of feel. I mean, seeing the customers down at the grocery store, et cetera. But great. Well, I want to say great job to both of you, Rob and Kwanda, and thanks to Calix again for sponsoring this webinar. We're just about running out of time, but if the remaining questions, we will get back to folks. If you asked a question, we will have folks respond with answers to your questions. But I want to thank again everyone for attending today's webinar. I think it went really well, and I think there's some really great insights that we can all learn. Thanks again. I'm Sean Buckley, editor of Lightwave and Broadband Technology Report. And again, thanks to Kwanda, Calix, and Rob at DFT for participating today. Thanks, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Take care.
Thanks, guys.